Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We felt it was really important to gather community as best as we could on very short notice to mark this moment together. And we don't have an incredibly formal agenda, and it's not a very long program. But we did want to give the community a space to just be together, even if it is online. I guess because of the snow, it would be online, and many of us have been doing online things all day. But just a moment to really think together and remember together and acknowledge together what a heavy day it is for the Jewish people. As the body of Israeli hostage Ran Gvili has been now returned to Israel, and many of us are holding such a mix of emotions that are just difficult to name. I'm sure you, like me, um, feel like the last couple of years have just been a marathon with no end. And this is now a moment of really profound sorrow for Ron's family, for his community, for the people of Israel, for people everywhere. And I know, and you know, that nothing can undo this loss. But bringing Ron home was an act of dignity and humanity. And honestly, it reflects one of the most deeply held Jewish values that no one is ever forgotten, and that every single life matters, something that we can be so proud of, that even in death, we insist on honor, care, and remembrance. And we saw that. We saw that. We saw so many people still walking around with yellow ribbons on their lapels and with hostage tags, recognizing that we would not stop until Ron had been returned home. And I'm sure, like me, you were all incredibly emotional today as we watched leaders in Israel and around the Jewish world who were removing their yellow ribbons, really marking not the end to everything we're going through, but the end to this particular chapter. Really, I don't have to remind everybody that since October 7th, we, the Jewish people, have been living through just ongoing trauma marked by shock, grief, and heartbreak. It seems like over and over again. And days like today definitely reopen wounds and remind us of the personal cost and why our connection to Israel matters so much. And it's not abstract or distant, but really deeply emotional and incredibly personal, which we'll hear about tonight from Rabbi Rafi Lipner. This period has completely tested us in ways that we've never imagined as a community, as a Jewish people around the world. But we see even today that it hasn't broken us. Instead, it's clarified who we are, what we stand for, and frankly, how strong we are when we come together. These are not easy times, but Jewish identity and Jewish peoplehood have definitely been a source of strength. And I know even when I speak to Israelis and our counterparts at UJ on the ground in Israel, and frankly, just members of the grassroots population in Israel, they can tell us how much it means to see Jews from around the world, and Jews specifically in Toronto, where the community is so strong, standing alongside of them to support them. One of the best, I'd say, memories. One of the best stories that I have from the last couple of years is when one of our former a shaliach who was working with us at UJ in Toronto a couple of years ago. Some of you might have met him. And he was working in our major gifts area. And his name was Eyal Shmueli. And Eyal ended up as a commander on the northern border, patrolling the northern border of Israel. And he sent me a picture of the men who were on his ship crying on the day of the Walk with Israel in Toronto. And he said, "You have absolutely no idea what it means for all of them to see 50,000 members of the Jewish community in Toronto thinking about them and walking for them." And he literally said it's given them strength, and that so many of them really had never thought about Jews in the diaspora, let alone Toronto in particular. They know there's a Jewish population in New York. They sort of know roughly there are Jews outside of Israel. But for them to see the aerial images of the strength in our community literally allowed them to move on and move them to tears. So we've been tested, but we're strong. And if nothing else, we're coming out of this stronger because we see when Israel hurts, we feel it here. And when we come together here, they feel it there. And really, we are more than ever part of one big Jewish people. And I say also UJ's commitment in all of this, and from so many of you, is completely unwavering, not only in these moments of crisis, but in all of the work that follows. And I can't let this moment go without saying that we are completely 100% dedicated every day until now and now moving forward to helping Israel heal by helping those communities that have been torn apart and helping to address the completely unimaginable trauma for the families who have lost loved ones and for families like Run's. who are facing the reality that they may never see their loved ones again. We also know that they need to rebuild their infrastructure and just ensure that at some point they can move forward with resilience. And we know that it's not really just about bricks and mortar. We know that it's about restoring a sense of safety, belonging, and a future so that the families on the ground in Israel, including the families of the hostages who have been through absolutely the most horrific times in the world, they have to be able to imagine a tomorrow, and a tomorrow for Israel and a tomorrow for the Jewish people. So we wanted to bring everyone together tonight to honor Ran Gvili's memory and reaffirm our responsibility to each other and to Israel's future. And that even in grief, we choose connection over isolation and action over paralysis. So we're going to hear from Rabbi Rafi Lipner in one moment, but I did want to just refer to one more thing, and that is you've seen probably on social media, and you'll start to see in emails that we're going to be running an initiative where we're calling on all community members to donate their hostage pins, anything metal that you have that commemorates the hostages or calls for the return of the hostages together. There are going to be bins at all of the JCCs around the city. So you have the Schwartz Reisman Center up north. You have the Prosserman JCC on the Sherman campus and also the Miles Nadell downtown. We're going to have big bins to collect all of those different things. We had some of you might know him, but there's a fabulous, like incredible leader, grassroots leader in our community named Adam Hummel. And he reached out to us with just a really incredible idea to take all of the necklaces, the hostage tags, the pins, the things that we've been wearing day in and day out over the last couple of years, and we can turn it into something incredibly meaningful that lives on one of our campuses. And so if you have anything at home, please pop by a JCC, drop it off. We want to do something to remember this time, this really difficult time, but also a time of solidarity for our community. So we're happy to answer questions about that later, and we can send something out. But on this note, I'd like to introduce Rabbi Rafi, who's going to help us reflect and just ground ourselves and really make meaning of this moment. So Rabbi Rafi Lipner, over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, each and every one of you, for coming out. First of all, I just want to give a disclaimer. I by no means have the magical words to process all the emotions that we're all feeling, from obviously a sense of, on one hand, relief, but still tremendous pain and agony, from a sense of hope and optimism to still worry as different news stories will loom. So I just want to share with you, like Sarah said, it's not a scripted time. It's really a time to just sort of dig into who we are. And the truth is, we do have a script. We have a script of things that we've said in the past and our sources all the way in the beginning. So I actually want to take us back not to October 7th, but October 9th, 2023. It was the first time our community gathered together at Mel Lastman Square, in shock, not knowing what had really happened and definitely not knowing what was going to happen. Anything from a sense of an existential threat that might have meant the end of the Jewish country, the way that we knew it at least, to an understanding that the world was about to change in ways that we couldn't possibly understand. There are two lines on that night of the many lines that were shared that stick out of my mind. One was Adam Minsky. He got up and he said, "Despite everything that's going on, tonight we are one." If we remember in the context of October 6th, when we were not one but two, and not two but thousands of fractions that were all divided, on that night we came together and reminded ourselves that no matter what happens in the world around us or to us, we're one. And I want to revisit that line. The second line, I remember that I had said that just a few nights earlier, right next door at the Meridian at the Hall, Omar Adam came to visit. And I said, as I was trying to think of the words to share that night, the only words that came to mind was from his song, Halev Shali. Halev Shali Nikra Lashnayim. Our heart was torn into two. That's where this started. Obviously, so much has happened since then. And the question is, how do we process that? What is the script that we see? So as Jews, we're lucky in the sense that we have a script, and our script has always been our teachings and our Torah. By now, some of you might have seen a post which I think is nothing short of miraculous. Every week we read a different Torah portion, right? Seemingly as if it was just randomly set by a calendar, a cycle each year, not realizing that every time we read something, it's both timeless as well as very timely. So this morning, as me and some others went to shul, in our shuls, read around the entire world, the following line was read. It's the only week in the entire year that this line is read. What's about to happen is the Jews are finally leaving Egypt. They're escaping one of the most difficult periods in all of Jewish history. And as they're about to run, because that's what one would do, run from all of the pain that they have in the past, it says that Moshe didn't run away. He rather ran too, because there was something he had to do. And this is the verse that was read this morning, literally as the news was coming out that Ron was being returned. Vayikach Moshe et atmos Yosef imo. Moshe took the bones of Joseph with him out of Egypt. Ki hashbea hishbia es bnei Yisrael, because he swore. He made the Jewish people swear. And Lamor saying, Pakod yifkod elokim etchem, that God will surely remember us, get us out, va'alischem es atmosai mizeh itchem. And when we come out, I want you not to forget my bones and take me out with you as well. I can't help but think I saw the words of Ran Gvili, the mother of Ran, who said Ran was Rishon Latzet, the first to go out of Israel into Gaza, and Achron Lachzor, he will be the last to return. Joseph was the first to go down into Egypt, literally into tunnels, and then he was the last to come out with the Jewish people as they went. But our deepest sources tell us that the word atzmot, which means bones, also means etzem, one's essence. That Moshe said, before we leave Egypt, before we leave this Gehenna of slavery, of torture, of pain, of agony, we have to take the essence of Joseph with us. So what is the essence of Joseph that we take with us as we exit this time period? So number one, I'd like to suggest that Joseph, as we know, was a dreamer. Joseph always realized that there was greatness that would come in the future and never lost his dreams. Od lo avda tikvatenu. He never lost his hope. That's what sustained him and sustains the Jewish people. Secondly, he had a deep understanding and belief that no matter what happens, God would take them out. That same song that Omar Adams sung says, "V'raka ta yachol lahafoch mispedi lamachol." God, only you can somehow transform the pain and sadness into some sort of joy and celebration. We're not there yet, but we're far further away than where we were when this journey started. And the third thing that I believe Joseph did more than any other person, he had brothers who were selling him literally. And yet Joseph forgave and said the most important thing is that we're all resolute, all the tribes together, every single Jew is part of Bnei Israel, the children of Israel. And when he could have held on to any sort of hatred or pettiness, he said more important than anything is a togetherness. So I think emerging from this, we shouldn't view it as this is the end, but rather this is the beginning. You know, there's a very famous book called Tzavazirus, written by the Piazetzner Rebbe. The Piazetzner Rebbe was someone who lived through and unfortunately died in the atrocities of the Warsaw Ghetto. And we have his diary called Tzavazirus. There's a whole exhibit of him in the Holocaust Museum here in Toronto. And in the third chapter of his personal diary, he says, Im margish ata shelibcha bekirbcha nishbar. If you feel that your heart is broken, as one can only imagine. He goes on to explain that when your heart is broken, it's broken open. And when a heart is broken open, it's time to take out things that are not good and put in things that are good before it closes up again. We all want our broken hearts to mend and to heal. But right now we're at the precipice of the end of one journey and the beginning, please God, of a different one. And I would like to suggest that from this entire period, amongst the myriad of things that we can learn, and please, if there's processing that you feel that you would like to still do, I'm totally available, rlipner@ujfed.org. But I'll share with you just two thoughts. Number one is, I think we have to put in more Jewishness than we ever have. Because let's be honest, I don't think it's just me, we all felt more Jewish than we felt the past 2 years, ironically, than we might have felt our entire lives. And we should keep that in our hearts. That's our Jewish heart. And what should we take out? We should take out any sense of hatred towards one another. Like Adam said when it started this, tonight we are one. Well, Chevra, every single day the Jewish people have to be one. Not just when other people don't like us, we band together. Our greatest enemy, as we know, is ourselves when we're not as one. So moving forward, put in your heart the love, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your fellow Jew like yourself. Not the ones that are like you, but the ones that aren't like you. The ones on the other side of the aisle, be it religiously, politically, philosophically. Because one thing we've learned over these 2 years is that when stuff happens out there, we realize we're really just one. We always were. So tonight and for always, we should remain one. That's work. That takes effort. When, please God, things get better, it's easy to fall back to where we were. We don't want things to go back to the way that they were. We want them to move forward to the way that they could be. And we'll just leave with this one thought. This isn't the end, it's a beginning. And I know that to be true because our ultimate script of Torah starts all the way in the beginning. Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Boker. And it was evening and it was daytime. In Jewish thought, the darkness always precedes dawn and the greatest light. So it's our blessing that if we take out the things that don't need to be there, the hatred of one another, if we put in the deep sense of Jewish pride, the emunah, the belief that we're ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, believers, the sons of believers, as we heard every single one of our friends going into Gaza, chanting and singing with deep faith that they knew that they were being watched above. And if we pull that out, may we merit together not only to see Vayihi Erev Vayihi Boker, it was dark and it was then dawn and light, but we merit to see what our deeper sources call the Or Ein Sof, the endless and the everlasting day of light that never ends. May the soul of Ran Gvili be bound in the life of everlasting, in the bonds of everlasting life. And may the Jewish people remember that they are one, remember that we come from one, and please God, may we merit to see the day where Macha Hashem Dima Me'al Kol Panim, that every single tear, past, present, and no more future tears, we're able to experience for the rest of our lives. Chevra, let's keep together, let's stay one, and thank you for coming out this evening.